Welcome everyone to Coaching This Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about the idea of how to make this year your best year yet. We started the new year already. Whether you like it or not, the race has begun for 2023. So now we have to make a choice. Do we show up or do we just allow what happened last year to keep on happening? We allow our life just to keep kind of moving along and us not making any changes, allowing circumstance to take over, allowing the world to take the wheel of our life to drive us into that wall. We're not crash dummies. So how can we not be dummies in our life? How can we be smart and make smart decisions and make choices that are going to be beneficial to us, beneficial to our future? We have to wake up. We have to start to take more action, and we have to take action, not the wrong action, the right action. And it's important that we understand what the right actions are. And just because they're right actions for me might not be right actions for you. So you have to understand that. And today we're going to be talking about the idea of how to make this year the best year yet. In my most recent blog that came out on New Year's, so it's ready to go, we're going to be talking about what 3 things you need in order for you to make some changes today. So let's take a look at that blog. But before we do that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share this video and or audio to help spread the word and to help more people make this year the best year, because everyone's preaching right now, new year, new me, but they're not applying any new knowledge. So help them out, share this content. And then let's get into the blog right now to learn how to make this year the best year yet. All right, jumping straight into the blog because we need this blog in order to understand what is going to be different this year. What I find is that many people, they just give themselves a very common New Year's resolution. So they might have had it last year, the year before. Oh, I want to go travel. I want to go learn a language. I want to go get in better shape. I want to be a better parent or a better wife or a husband, right? It doesn't necessarily matter what you're going to say. What truly matters is, are you going to commit to what you said? Many people, they're going to start off strong. I already see the gyms filling up. That's a good thing. That means they started off strong. Motivation in Motion, season 6 is out too. So if you're listening to the episode when it comes out, it's going to be tomorrow. But if you're listening to this episode after the 3rd, Motivation in Motion is already out and is waiting for you. And that's going to help propel you a little bit longer on that journey of that motivation train. Because if you know anything about motivation, and if you have listened to this podcast, you know motivation is temporary. And we need to figure out how can we use the motivation we have and use it to our benefit while we have it. Let's take a look at this blog and try to get the 3 steps that we need in order to really make some changes. And then, of course, we'll break those 3 steps down. These 3 steps are as easy as can be. When people learn about these 3 steps, they say, Michael, really? These 3 steps are going to change my whole entire life? I say, yes, it has worked for everyone that I've worked with on these 3 steps because it's very simple for the mind to understand. What we have to do is we have to know how to break things down in micro steps, number 1, and we have to make it appealing to the subconscious mind, number 2. That is all you have to do when you want to make a change in your life. Make it simple, make it stupid simple, and then make it easy. Because if it's easy for the subconscious mind to do, guess what happens? We do it. Just how we're on our smartphones. We do it because it's easy. Because we would rather do that than something else that requires work or energy. Sitting on the sofa is easy. It doesn't require much. That's why we do it. That and habits. But let's break down these steps. So the first step is going to be, where are you? The second step is going to be, where do you want to be? And the third step is going to be your mindset. Now, of course, you might think that mindset should be number 2 or maybe even number 1, but it has to be number 3. And I'm going to explain why that is. Now, I am a mindset coach and I do love talking about mindset and I do love selling mindset. But here, mindset is number 3. That's not the most important part. It is a critical component, and we might even have mindset for where we are, where we want to be, but it's only an after factor. That's why it's step number 3. So taking a quick look at this rest of the blog, we are going to be breaking down the steps in the blog, and I'm going to be using different examples in the blog that I'm not going to be using here on the podcast because I'm going to break it down very different here. I encourage you to still read this to get a different viewpoint and then to use this so you can understand the process for motivation and understand how you can make the best year yet. Because if you find that you're already falling off track, or if you find that you have no motivation or you have no will in order to make this best year your best year yet, guess what's going to happen? We need to make some changes very quickly. And this blog is going to give us some guidance on how to make those changes. So this is going to be almost like your guide. I'm not going to say Bible because as long as you have a guide or you have something to look toward, it's basically that. So it's going to be your true north, your North Star, and it's going to help you along the way. It's going to be your 24-hour hotline. Basically, if you need some assistance, you read this and you're going to be more than okay. All right, so let's start breaking it down. Now, I coined this process or terminology. I don't know if I necessarily coined it for Reven concepts, but what I will tell you is I've been using this process for the past 4 years. What I can tell you is this process works so beautifully because step number 1, understanding where you are. I can't climb the stairs because I'm fat. I can't go to sleep because I'm drinking coffee at night, or I have bad habits, or I have back pain. I can't focus because I have all this stress in my life. I can't be happy because of this reason or that reason. Where are you? Ask yourself, where are you right now? And this is not about excuses. There is no excuse here. There can't be any excuses here. We don't blame people because we're someplace. We are going to own it wherever we are. I'm here because of me. I am this because of me. I have this life circumstance because of me. Own it. Okay? Where are you? Now, once you own it and you figure out where you are, the only thing you have to do is figure out where you want to be. That's actually an easy task because it's basically the opposite of where you are. Now, you might be in a really good place. I'm not saying that you're not, right? There's going to be some people listening to this podcast that are in a really good place right now. Maybe they are good financially. Maybe they have a good relationship or a good family. Maybe they have a lot of good things going in their life. So they might not look at their life as, oh my God, my life is so bad, I want to make some changes. But we should always be looking at how we can make improvements. How can we reach new goals, new heights in our life? Because just because you reach one goal doesn't mean your life is over. Oh, I reached one goal, my life is done. I completed life. I beat it. No, there's always a new goal. Similar to how when you start off in elementary school or in pre-K, you're going to be graduating from each level. Level 1, level 2, level 3, all the way up until high school and then maybe even college. So you figure out, do I make progress? Do I make moves? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Just because we're not successful in a given level or a given point in our life, a given age, it doesn't mean we're doing bad. But we have to look at where we are so we can figure out where we want to be. Because you might say, well, I'm a millionaire and I feel good about being a millionaire. Maybe you have a good relationship. Maybe you have everything perfect and you don't want to make any changes. I bet I can find some changes that you want to make. Look in the mirror. What would you like to change? Look in your life. What would you like to change? Look in the world. What would you like to change? And if you can't find anything, then you're going to be lying to yourself, number 1. Because if you don't have a purpose or a mission in life, guess what happens? You die. The brain stops functioning. The brain is like, well, what's the purpose? We have to give ourselves a purpose. That's why our brain starts to send us signals. Oh, we're getting hungry. Oh, we're getting thirsty. Why do you think it does that? Because it wants to stay alive. We need purpose in order to live. So if you don't have purpose, if you don't have something you're aiming toward, number 1, you're just misguided, or you don't even see that you have something more to offer. And both are bad. Both need coaching probably to try to get over that. Figuring out where you want to be is important too. Because if you're down in the dumps and you're basically eating out of the trash bins, maybe you want to not eat out of the trash bins anymore. Maybe you want to have a table full of food or a fridge or pantry full of food. You can make that happen. It could be this year too. You might be walking to work in the rain and you might say, I need to make this different, right? I need to make a change. We can make that change. Where do you want to be, right? Do you want to be in a car? Do you want to be on a bus? Do you want to be walking with an umbrella? What does that look like for you? Visualize it. We can go through a lot of different processes, a lot of different examples, but I hope you get the gist there. The gist is you can make the change to where you want to be. So do that in your mind. The last thing is the mindset, right? My favorite part of anything, because it's really getting to nitty gritty, the things that we typically don't think about, because the subconscious mind is not going to bring it up. The conscious mind is not going to even know about it because it's going to require some introspection. What are we truly feeling? How are we feeling? Do we feel confident? Do we feel happy about it? Do we feel like we can do it? And sometimes I think people, they say they can do it, but they have that subconscious feeling inside them. And they say, I'll do it as long as I can. Or last year I wasn't successful. This year I won't be successful probably. So they're already downers. Maybe they say I'm going to give it my all and we'll see what happens. But guess what? Just because you give it your all doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. because the process of success sometimes involves failure. So how good are you with failure? You might be really good with it. Maybe you're not. Maybe every time you hit failure, you're like, I'm going to stop everything. And that's what a lot of people do. They get hit with failure in the beginning of the year and something happens in their life, whether it be something tragic like a trauma, something happens in the world like COVID, or something happens in our mind with our routine or habits, and we make a choice. Oftentimes, that choice is going to be talking about, oh, wait, I messed up. And I only look at the negative because the brain loves the negative. I talk about it in the blog. The brain will look at the negative more than it will positive. So in the beginning, most likely people are going to be saying, well, I want to do this 5 days out of the week or something like that, right? So they might say, I'm going to do 100 calls and I'm going to call 100 clients. Maybe the first week you call 50. Maybe the second week you call 10. What's the point? I can't even call 100 people. That's where the brain goes. Versus, I just called 60 people in the last 2 weeks. That's really good. I'm impressed by me. I wonder how many I can get next week. Right? Just curious. We're just offering curiosity. Where are we? Where would we like to be? And those steps right there are going to be very important for us because now we're going to say, oh, well, I was here doing 50 calls. Now I only did 10 calls, but I'm at 60 total. What was the discrepancy between the first week and the second week? Did I get more busy? Did I get less motivated? We need to figure that out. Where are we? Step one. Because if we could figure out where we are and figure out where we want to be, then we can make a mindset shift, mindset change, and we can make change. You have to figure out what is the problem in different situations. You might find that you're not doing something because you have bad habits. You might find that you don't have the time. You need to figure out how to get the time. If you have been listening to the podcast, and even if you're new, you can always go back to the episode, The Power of Delegation. If you don't have time, delegate the work. Figure out who else can do the work for you, and you do the more meaningful parts. What is it that only you can do? Focus on that. What is it that lights you up? Focus on that. And if you start to do things that you love and that you enjoy, you're going to start to see that your mindset is going to shift. That's always a good thing because now you're going to see where you are more positive and where you want to be even more positive. What changes? What type of growth can we have in our life? Because you might have one supercar, but that's not enough. How many millionaires do you see with multiple cars? One supercar is not enough. They need 2, they need 3, they need 4, they need 7. And the reason why they need that many is not because they need to drive all 7 at once. It's not possible. The reason why they do that is because it allows them a goal. Oh, that was nice. I like that car. That's my new goal. That's my new purpose. The cars probably don't make them happy per se. They might give them some sense of joy and fulfillment, but that was a goal. I want this car. This is my dream car. They go for it. What do you want? Where do you want to be? You want to be next to that car. You want to be in that car. What type of mindset do you need to get in that car? What type of mindset do you have to be to own that car? You have to figure that out. And for many people, they don't even do the first 2 steps, let alone the third step. They just kind of say, well, this is what I want. They didn't even figure out where they were. So how can you figure out where to go if you don't know where you are? Imagine you're stuck in the forest. You're in the Amazon forest. You're in a plane and the plane crashed. Boom, plane crashed, right? Crappy luck. But guess what? Now you're in the forest. You don't have a map. Your phone doesn't work. And guess what? You need to figure out how to get out of this forest. Well, you need to first figure out the lay of the land. First thing you have to do is figure out where the sun is. Figure out where the sun rises and where the sun sets and kind of get a good understanding. And of course, you need to know what time of year it is so you can figure out if it's really due east or if it's going to be skewed to northeast or something like that, right? My recommendation is if you don't know this, you don't have to know this, but just kind of give yourself an understanding, east or west. You might be traveling because you would probably understand where you were traveling. So if you're in North America and you're traveling to South America, you're traveling south. All right. So when you crash somewhere along the way, you just have to figure out, okay, well, I was traveling here. That's east. So that's going to lead me to some country over there, depending on where you are, right? Guyana, Brazil, depending on where you are. But what I can tell you is that you have to just figure out which direction you're going in and make sure you stay true in that direction. Because if you're going to say, well, I'm going to travel an hour east, an hour north, an hour west, an hour south, guess what? You're right back where you were. So you need to figure out what to do, where to go. I'm traveling east. I'm traveling west. And if you remember, I had a guest on. If you have been a long time listener of the podcast, or actually just a recent listener, Roy Osing, he talks about just go west. And this is the same concept. Just go west, but you're just figuring out which direction you want to go. Where are you? And then figuring out, all right, I figured out my direction. Now I'm going to do this. Where do I want to be? I want to be on the East Coast. Let's go east. Want to be on the West Coast? Let's go west. What type of mindset do you need in order to get there? That's the tricky part. You need to be confident. You need to be resilient. And you need to be willing to push yourself past your comfort zone because you're already uncomfortable. And now you just have to make sure you don't give up. And you have to make sure you don't make mistakes, unnecessary mistakes because you're tired or because you're hungry or because you're scared. Many people are tired, hungry, and scared, and they still figure out what to do each and every day. What do we need in order to be more efficient in our days? We need to figure out where we are, and we need to figure out where we want to be, and we need to figure out what type of mindset we need in order to get the things we want in our life. So yes, we can make this our best year yet, but there's some things that we have to do. We need to first look ourselves in the mirror and be honest with ourselves, and we need to look at our life and we need to be honest. Is this what we want long term? Because if we die today, tonight, is there anything that you would have regretted or wanted to do in your life, things you haven't done yet? Maybe you wanted to travel somewhere. Maybe you wanted to go to a different country. Maybe you wanted to try a new food, right? Whatever it be, did you do it? Are there things that you still want to do? There's things that I want to do, but it's a process for me. It's a slow process, and I understand it's the journey. I enjoyed the journey. Many people, they look at the goal. They want the goal so quickly. Get me to that goal right now. And that's why many people, when they start the New Year's resolutions and start going to the gym, they realize after the first week, they're not getting results. They realize after the first month, they're not getting results. The only thing they're getting is more sore. So they're not happy. So they say, you know, what's the point? The subconscious mind is going to come in and says, what's the point? There is no point. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. You're more sore. Nothing's changing, but something is changing. Your mindset is changing. Your habits are changing. And if your mindset and your habits change, guess what else changes? Your life. So you have to figure out what type of changes do you want and how much would you commit to them? And this blog right here talking about how to make this year my best year yet is going to be giving you a guide to figure out where you are, where you want to be in your mindset. And we're going to have many different examples and many type of mindset situations that are really going to make it clear that you can make this year your best year yet. It's just that you have to have a good understanding of yourself and what you're looking for. The process of change can be very difficult, especially if you do it by yourself. And I always recommend some company along the way. You can always go to revenconcepts.com, sign up for coaching, and then you can begin to make this year your best year yet. What we're going to be able to do is we're going to give you a plan, and we're going to make sure you stick to that plan. It's important that we understand where you are, where you want to be, and then the mindset needed to get there. Because if you can figure that out, then you're already halfway there. You just have to be accountable. But many people are confused about where they are. They don't really know where they want to go, and they don't know what type of mindset they need in order to get it. And that's where a mindset coach like me is going to come in. We're going to be looking at your life in all the different areas, and we're going to be talking about how we can give you the results you want for your goals. It's a simple process, but sometimes the brain can make simple things very complex. So we have to figure out how we can get the brain aspect out of our life, figure out what type of structure we need for our life, and then figure out how to build our best year yet. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, you can email me coachingisession@gmail.com, and I will see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone, take care.